When the sirens screamed across the Oklahoma plains, he thought he was running from nature's fury. But when the EF5 funnel finally unclenched its iron grip, he opened his eyes to a sky the color of bruised flesh and a landscape stitched together from human screams. The sirens began wailing right as the afternoon light buckled beneath an ashen sky. I was driving home across the Oklahoma flats, windshield rattling, radio crackling, when the meteorologist's voice cracked like a whip. "This is a confirmed EF5 on the ground. Take shelter now." I swerved onto a gravel service road, abandoned the truck, and hurtled toward a culvert barely tall enough to crawl inside. Thunder split inhumanly close, a titan's hammer on sheet metal heavens. The roar that followed was not the freight train cliché. It was a cathedral organ detuned by despair, swallowing every thought. When the funnel finally swallowed me, dust, splinters, half the prairie, I felt the world unzip. Pressure crushed my chest, my ears burst, and then quiet, like slipping beneath a black ocean. I came to lying on cracked red clay beneath a bruise-colored sky. The air stank of sulfur and singed hair. My culvert, my truck, the whole countryside, gone. Instead, jagged spires rose like fossilized lightning bolts. Rivers of molten rock hissed through gullies, casting oily reflections on tortured silhouettes chained to basalt pillars. They weren't silent victims. Their wails layered over one another in a symphony of unending agony. I staggered forward, every footfall stirring plumes of ember-bright dust. Closer, I saw that those shackled shapes were people, skin blistered, eyes milk-white, mouths locked open by barbed rings. Lesser creatures scuttled between them, grey-skinned imps with needle teeth, hacking chunks of flesh only to watch the wounds knit shut so the feast could begin anew. One turned its lamp-bright eyes on me and screeched, "Fresh meat!" I ran, or tried. The ground rippled like a living thing, bucking me into a gulch where heat rose in shimmering curtains. Clawed hands erupted from the red soil, yanked me down, and I plummeted through darkness until I landed on a cold slab of black iron. Torchlight flared, revealing a cavernous hall. Grotesque murals writhed on every wall, faces pressed from inside stone, their screams bubbling in relief. Massive demons stood guard, obsidian horns curling like ram's horns, eyes smoldering coals, talons dripping with some viscous ichor. A whip cracked, lashing sparks along the floor, and I was dragged toward an iron throne fashioned from fused bones. The demon upon it dwarfed the others. His wings were tattered sails, stretching into shadow. His mouth bore too many teeth for a single jaw. "Tornado stray," he rumbled, voice like granite grinding on granite. "Mortals seldom fall here by accident, but none leave." Restraints sprang from the floor, imprisoning wrists and ankles. The torture that followed defied any earthly torment. My skin peeled and healed, organs seared and regenerated, memories ripped from me and replayed as mocking phantoms. They discovered every private shame, every regret, and fed them back as living nightmares. Time lost its linearity. Pain became the only constant, like an eternal drumbeat. At one point, I dangled over a pit where souls churned in molten sludge, each face briefly surfacing to shriek before sinking again. Demons dipped me in up to the chin, laughing while the sludge-seared nerve endings roar. Another day, if days still existed, they let centipede-long worms burrow beneath my skin, whispering lies about everyone I'd ever loved. Each lie felt true because the worm's words squirmed directly into my thoughts. Amid this crescendo of suffering, a trumpet-pure note cleaved the rancid air. Blinding azure light spilled across the hall. Demons hissed and recoiled, flesh smoking. From the radiance stepped a figure in armor, that dazzled like moonlight on calm water. Feathered wings unfurled behind him, pristine and impossible amid the soot-filled gloom. "Release this soul," the figure commanded, voice resonant yet gentle, chains shattered. The worms dissolved into oily vapor. Pain fell away as if cut by unseen scissors. I collapsed, sobbing, half disbelief, half gratitude. The figure knelt. His eyes were fathomless pools of compassion. "You do not belong, child of earth. The storm tore the veil. You slipped through. I am Samael, sent to guide you home." Home. The word hit harder than any lash. I followed him past cowering fiends, through corridors where tortured souls reached pleading hands toward his light, yet could not cross its halo. He whispered prayers, and the infernal architecture quivered in protest, but parted. We reached a narrow rift opening onto swirling darkness. "Beyond lies the path back," Samael said, "but you must believe." He extended his hand. I took it, every instinct craving the hope he offered. The chasm yawned, and we stepped into a tunnel of starlight. Memories unspooled, childhood summers, my wife's laugh, the cedar scent after fresh rain. Each recollection glimmered along the tunnel walls like stained glass windows. "Hold to them," Samael urged. "They anchor you." Behind us, hell's cacophony faded until only wind stirred, the crisp, untainted wind of distant plains. I thought of my wife's face when the sirens sounded, how I promised I'd drive safe. Tears blurred the light ahead. At what felt like the tunnel's midpoint, Samael slowed. "Confess your darkest sin," he said softly, "that heaven may cleanse it." I hesitated. Images surfaced. A bar fight years ago, fists flashing, someone's skull cracking beneath my panic-driven blow. The man survived, but was never the same. I'd locked the memory away, ashamed. Now I spoke it aloud. Samael listened, brow serene. "Redemption requires acceptance," he murmured. "You are forgiven." Relief surged. The tunnel brightened, a sun dawning beyond its mouth. Yet beneath the radiance I sensed an undertow, something tugging against the momentum of salvation. Shadows twitched where none should exist. Samael's grip tightened, nails biting. For the first time, his smile seemed detached, a painting of empathy rather than the real thing. "Almost there," he breathed, but his voice carried an unfamiliar hunger. The tunnel widened into a vast courtyard of luminous marble. Gates of pearl towered ahead, their surfaces swirling with galaxies. Choirs whispered just beyond. I stepped forward, and the courtyard rippled like a mirage. The marble curdled into coagulated ash. The pearly gates shrank, corroded, and collapsed inward, revealing black void beyond. Samael's wings molted, feathers falling away to reveal skeletal spars. His face split with a grin too wide, too knowing. "Hope," he sighed, voice now the gravel-throated rumble of the throne demon. "It sears more than any fire, doesn't it?" The illusion shattered. The courtyard dissolved, reforming into the torture hall. I lay once more bound beneath the bone throne, demons roaring with laughter so raw it vibrated my teeth. Samael, no, the imposter, hovered, wings now leathery and charred. My whispered confession echoed from the walls, each demon tasting the words like fine wine. "Why?" I croaked. "To prove there is no mercy," the false angel purred. "Despair tastes sweeter when seasoned with fleeting hope. I understand now that the rescue, the tunnel, the promise of home, every bright fragment was never a path out, only another blade on the demon's torture wheel. The angel remains, visiting when my agony dims. Offering freedom, he'll snatch away again and again. There is no tornado, no Oklahoma horizon, only an endless loop of faith and betrayal. I am not a guest in hell. I am its newest instrument, my own belief, the rack that stretches me forever.